more so, it was definitely because before the New York Pro, because,
A little bit.
and yes, I'm going to go ahead and be woman about this. That is when we were having a conversation in that last interview, and you were like, "Have you considered
Sorry. Can you say this very clearly, please?
women's bodybuilding?" And I was like, "Oh no, there's no way I can cross over. I'm not big enough to cross over."
Sorry, I'm not being smug about this. So yeah, because what was your placing at Tampa? Was it 7th or 9th or something, or 10th? Was it?
I didn't do Tampa. I did the Optimum Classic, which was a smaller show in Shreveport, which was the week after Tampa.
Right. Okay.
So, and I placed 10th.
10th.
Yeah, with a real big obvious. You're not supposed to be here.
Right. Okay. Was that because they just said you were like literally too big?
Right. Literally, I'm like, it was so funny because more times than not, when you get feedback from the judges, they tell you, "Oh, well, your conditioning or such and such," and it's usually something really specific and it's just cut to the point. I'm like, when I emailed and asked, I was like, can you just give me some feedback on what I need to do to improve my placing?
Yeah.
I'm expecting, "Oh, well, bring your conditioning." And he was like, "You have reached a size and a muscle density that it is time, not you should consider, but it is time for you to cross over to women's bodybuilding."
Okay.
I was like, "Oh, okay." So there's nothing I can do to improve my placing in women's physique at this point. So
no, because I remember you saying you struggled with your the conditioning in your legs, but then you came into the New York Pro as a female bodybuilder. And those conditioning, I don't understand how you got the conditioning right, but also came in bigger. How was that?
This is what the problem has always been. I'm like, even when I first started competing in women in the sport, I was already too dense. So I'm like, when I came into figure, I already had too much muscle density. And so I spent all these years trying to control the muscle size and density, which means that I couldn't lift heavy. Okay. So it's hard to come in condition when you might be doing a lot of reps, but you can't lift heavy because I would put on mass.
Right.
And so because of the pandemic and me not being able to gauge the rest of the field to keep control of my muscle, I kind of let it get away from me. So when they told me that, it was like there was nothing else. So I could spend that week, I could lift heavier than I normally would, and I just needed to keep leaning out. So I'm like, it was not a problem anymore because I wasn't holding back.
Are you sure you're not George Peterson's twin sister?
Oh my God, that was so funny. I was talking to Justin. I was talking to Justin about George, about how he is just like, I was like, he is like a mutant. He's like a unicorn. I was
unicorn.
He was like, "Look at you." He was like, "You just keep growing."
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm obviously in complete denial about my growth factor.
Yeah, because he's gone classic. He was too big for that. I think he's almost going to be too big for 212. So he's probably going to go open. You've gone from figure, you were too big for it. You've gone from women's physique, too big for it, and now you finally end up in female bodybuilding, and it's going absolutely amazing.
I know. I'm just like, like I tell everybody, we were just like, are you upset? And I was like, no. I was like, I feel like, if you're not in the sport for just the hardware, for just the accolades, and you're in the sport because you love the concept of lifting and training and evolving your body, it's a natural progression. So when people, and I still get DMs about that, are you upset? Are you going to try to go back down to women's physique? And I was like, no. I said, because the first time since I've been competing, and I started competing November 2012, I was like, I feel like I'm home. I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Good to hear.
I don't have to go back. I enjoy my time in the gym now. It's not one of those things that I'm standing next to a bikini or, a figure competitor, lifting with like a 15-pound weight because I'm worried about getting big, and they're looking at me, look at them, look at me. I'm just like, yeah, I know it looks weird. Just keep doing what you're doing.
So won. So obviously, I mean, I was so happy when you won the New York Pro. I was just like, yeah, I was like, wow, this was just, I mean, to go from 10th to.
I was happy too.
Yeah. I was just like, yes. Thing is though, like, I mean, so then you obviously were prepping for the Olympia. What was that more enjoyable prepping for the Olympia, knowing you didn't have to hold back?
Oh yes, people were like, and it was so funny because after the New York Pro, I got feedback, and I listened to the commentaries of Ilana and Linda about what they felt I needed to do to really, have an impact at the Olympia, to really stand out and pop. And
Mhm.
they were like, she put on about 3 or 5 pounds of more muscle density all over, and there were people around me. They was just like, oh, that's not possible. I was like, sweetie, you understand. I was just
I've been holding back.
I can get the beats loose in the gym. I was like
Wow.
3 to 5 pounds in 12 weeks. I'm gonna be able to do that easy. So yes, it was beyond fun. I truly, don't get me wrong, it was hard. I'm like, and I was so thankful for the other female bodybuilders that engaged me,
Mhm.
because it was one of the hardest preps. I'm like, the struggle was really real, but at the same time, I enjoyed it so much. I'm like, to push myself in the gym that
Mm.
way, and to see all the gains that I was making with my lifts. I'm like, it was so enjoyable. I'm like, and it was something I didn't realize how much I missed it
Mm.
until I got back to it. And so, yeah, I could never, people like, oh, you could probably, I was like, why would I want to go back to women's physique where during that division, and I love my time in women's physique, but literally the last 6 weeks of my prep, I would have to go carbless.
Yeah.
I would have to go carbless to come in flat. I would have to make sure that when I was on stage that I didn't fully flex my muscles. And so the
Wow.
idea of just going to full potential in women's bodybuilding, it was so freeing. It was so freeing in New York, and then the prep going into the Olympia, and at the Olympia, it was liberating.
So by
I'm like, there's really no words for it.